What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Franchise Empire newsletter live. What's up, Kevin?
What's going on?
Ready to rock. All right, guys, on this one today, in 5 minutes or less, this will not be 5 minutes or less, but if you're on the email, which you can go to franchiseempire.com/newsletter to make sure that you get this in your email inbox every Sunday. But today we're going to talk about number one, a service franchise that shows $2.8 million in sales on $200,000 startup cost. That's the highest performing franchisee. Of course, we will show you all of the numbers that we have access to. We're going to break down a franchise resale in Texas with some big upside potential. We'll talk about a case study with a franchisee and a recurring revenue business. Who doesn't like a recurring revenue business, right? And then we'll talk about a couple that was on our podcast that bought a franchise resale doing $2 million a year in sales. Since we're live, if you guys have any questions as we go through this, drop your questions in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer them. But with that said, Kevin, what do we got for this resale?
All right, so this resale comes from a neighborly brand called Window Genie. So Window Genie, they do, as you can imagine, window cleaning, but they do quite a bit of more services than that. So almost think of it as like an exterior maintenance type of company where they're going to do like pressure washing, window cleaning. They also do window tinting, gutter cleaning, holiday lighting. So pretty full service, and they do residential and commercial customers. So this particular franchise has been around since 1998. They have 113 units throughout the country. As I mentioned, they are a neighborly brand, which has a lot of benefits. We've talked about that quite a bit before, but this resale is in San Antonio, Texas. It's in the northern part of San Antonio. I think I want to say it's 3 territories. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's around 3 territories. So it's like that northern San Antonio area. Asking price is $300,000. Last year's revenue was just under $500,000, and it's been open since 2017. So we'll get to those numbers and our interpretation here in a minute. But there are a couple employees. There's some equipment. So, the power washing equipment, the window cleaning equipment that's included. And there's, I believe, 2 vehicles included in the sale. So to start a Window Genie from new, it's around like 150 to 200,000. So it's a little bit more than starting new, but you would have an existing customer base hypothetically, and some momentum to grow upon. So this particular, if we want to scroll down, this particular one doing under a half of 500,000 is under the average, performance for the system. So in 2023, the average ticket price was $512, with an average number of jobs completed per day of just under 5. So when you do the rough math, I think that comes out to like almost 850,000 in total gross revenue. So this is doing roughly half of, the system-wide average. So I think there is an opportunity. You do need to have either the owner doing sales or some sort of salesperson that was going to go out and meet with potential customers, both commercial and residential. So, what they typically like to see is the owner starting to do the sales and estimating until they've built the business to where it needs to be. So I imagine that's what Neighborly would recommend and Window Genie would recommend for somebody taking over this business. So, you're going to meet with customers, give them a quote. You're really going to try to get like reoccurring revenue accounts. So like, especially on the commercial side where, what if it's like a restaurant or a hotel or something where they need their windows washed consistently? Those are, nice contracts that you can get. Aside from doing the sales, you need to do some networking. So networking with different business owners that you're going to get referrals from, real estate agents, property managers, people like that, that are going to send you potential business. And then, of course, managing your team, the daily meetings in the morning to kind of talk about what's on the schedule, helping your clients out with any potential like customer issues that come up. And they like to say creating a culture of excellence. So they like to talk about giving your employees promotional opportunities to grow within your business to retain them. So, Window Genie, Neighborly claimed it's one of their more profitable franchises, just because you can operate pretty lean and it's not a ton of equipment. The payroll is a little bit lower than like if you have like plumbers or electricians on staff. So it's a good business. And again, this one is in a nice market in the San Antonio area. What did I miss, Tarek?
Yeah, good point. As you were saying that, what popped in my head is that for someone who's like, hey, I really want more of a simple business, like this is definitely like like you were saying, like you're not hiring a plumber, you're not hiring really skilled labor, right? Because I mean, you're doing window cleaning, pressure washing, like gutter cleaning, maybe window tinting requires a specific skill, but it's not like a trade, like electrician or plumber. So I think for someone that's like, hey, I like the idea of service, but I don't want the complication, this sort of business model could be great. Here's what's interesting to me. And when I see opportunities like this, the more and more I talk to franchisees and the more I just talk to just business owners in general, after so many conversations, you see the patterns start to develop where it becomes really obvious of why people may not be getting the results that they want to get, right? So like this, I mean, they've been open for 7 years and they're doing 500 grand in sales, right? Which seems to be under average based on the numbers disclosed. What I'm guessing is that the owners or whoever the owner is, they probably got stuck working in the business and not on it, or stop focusing on sales and marketing. And so it just the more and more I talk to entrepreneurs, it's like the ones that learn how to master sales and marketing rule the world. They do the most sales. And they're not the smartest. They often don't actually offer the best service in terms of like customer service or stuff like that. Maybe they do at times. But for me, I see the biggest opportunity, for this with someone who, as you alluded to before, like is willing to come in and hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And like, hey, like I'm willing to go hard with sales and marketing. I'm willing to come in and work on the business and not get stuck in the day-to-day of it. Then you probably have some great opportunity.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, and this franchise is unique in that you do see franchises that only do power washing and only do window tinting and only do window washing. They are offering all of that. And, one thing I would want to ask them is like, how do you do all of that above average? Like, how are you providing really good quality service when you're doing so many different types of products? And, do you focus on just one until you get like, enough team and revenue build up and then you add on the other one? I mean, those are the type of questions I have when I see a franchise that does multiple different services like this. But like there is also a great opportunity to get in for like window washing, which is your bread and butter, and then upsell a client for power washing as they need, services like that. So it is nice to have that ability to scale. But I think it's all about sales. You have to get in and get those opportunities and then provide good quality service. And then you can, sell them on these other product lines or services.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if so two things. Number one, if you are in San Antonio market and you want to learn more about this specific franchise opportunity and get introduced to the brand and the owners, go to franchiseempire.com/resales, enter your info. You'll be able to set up a free 15-minute call with the team. And or if you want to understand what resales are available in your market, if any. So franchiseempire.com/resales. All right, on to client case study, and then we'll dive into the franchise that shows $2.8 million in sales and $200,000 in startup costs. So I figured this was fitting, Kevin, because I just did that Zoom meeting with Anthony So I was been connecting with some of our clients who have signed franchise agreements to see how things are going, how's life, etc. But yeah, Kevin, I know you're the one that actually. So I actually took Anthony's call. Well, Anthony's scenario. Okay, so we'll tag team this. So Anthony's scenario is unique in which um we were testing out a franchise buyers academy. It was still in the beta process. He was one of the people that replied like, "Hey, yeah, I'd like to test it out and get access to it, and we'll offer my feedback." And so he went through the franchise buyers academy and got a lot of value out of it, learning about the profit margins of different businesses, sales to investment ratios, how to scale it, how to hire, all those cool things. And then he wound up having a call with our team, and actually he had a call with me and enrolled in our zero to profitable franchise system, which is our proprietary holistic system that some of our clients go through. So then once he joined, part of that is getting to work with, our brokerage team. And then that's where, Kevin, you pick up the ball from there, because you were the one that actually worked with Anthony and like helping him through the process. So talk a little bit about like kind of what the challenges were that he was facing when he came in, what he had done in the past, and then how you bridged that gap with him.
Yeah. So Anthony had a really interesting background. And I'm assuming this is Anthony with System 4, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Because there's a couple Anthonys. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, Anthony is an awesome guy. So a couple of his challenges are honestly, frankly, his geographic location, is a little bit different setup. And then also he he came to us with a background. He was a pastor. So he had, been a pastor in his church for, I think like 15, 20 years, for a long time. His family was all involved in it. And they wanted to step away from that, from like a full-time capacity, still be involved, but, do something new and something that was like a good fit for not only him, but also his wife and like a lot of uh, their family. His sons want to be involved in the business partially. So that was one of the challenges, honestly, for me as the broker and coach, is like finding something that kind of fit everybody's interests and skill sets, and also was a good opportunity. So he was in Hawaii, on the Big Island. So that is a little bit of a unique market and different type of business. And some franchise systems have challenges with operating over there for obvious reasons. So, anyways, long story short, he ended up landing on a commercial cleaning and property management franchise called System 4. And it was about the same time where I helped my good buddy buy that same franchise in Omaha, Nebraska, where we're from. So I was really pretty intimately involved in it and understanding the business model. And I thought it could be a good fit for them for a number of reasons. One is they didn't want a ton of W-2 employees. In this model, it's getting contracts and managing those contracts, but providing and fulfilling the service through subcontracted work. So that was a good fit in terms of that. They also wanted something more professional services, not so much like dealing directly with homeowners on a day-to-day basis. So this is more business to business. They had a lot of connections in their community in terms of businesses and landlords and stuff like that. So yeah. So for those reasons, I think it was a great fit. What am I missing, Tarek?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting to me is one is Anthony's going to do a podcast here on Wednesday. We're recording a podcast together and just talk through his journey. But um, I mean, we had talked about System 4 before. I didn't understand the business model in detail. So as Anthony and I were connecting, and he was telling me about the business model and how it works. And I'm like, oh, hold on. You just go out and get the contracts and then you just subcontract out the work. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, my goodness, that's genius for you. Because he's such a connector. He's so great at relationships. Like you said, he's been a minister for, I think it was like 40 years, and he still does it full time,
Yeah.
him and his wife. And so it was just like the perfect business for him. He's connecting with people. And
Yeah.
that's basically what he's doing all day. And I was like, oh, this is a brilliant business for him overall. And when him and I when I connected with him last week, he said they'd already secured some contracts, had a bid in on a contract that was a huge contract. That would be what he called the game changer. He used my favorite term. And so yeah, just super exciting opportunity. So and oh, what you had told me, what I didn't know until we got deeper in the process, was Anthony. And what we find, this happens with so many of our clients. Kevin and I were just in a meeting earlier today talking about this. So many of the clients that we work with that have success working with us, they've worked with another franchise broker before or franchise consultant. They've worked with one before. They, for whatever reason, the experience didn't work out. Like either they didn't like the brands, maybe it felt a little too transactional, maybe it just wasn't the right time in their life. And so something similar had happened with Anthony. He had worked with another group before. But what we find is that there's a good amount of people that want more in that process. And so, we never used to really talk about our zero to profitable franchise system, the whole proprietary service that we offer. We do have just the brokerage side for the people that want it, because we understand that there's a role to play there. But one of the things we do is we provide a community. We have a private community with all of our clients. I host weekly group coaching calls where everyone gets to come on, ask questions, connect, and learn from each other that are in various points of the franchise buying process. We provide them all the education and resources that they need, etc. So Anthony wound up joining that system. And I think it worked out really well for him. I think up until after he signed his franchise agreement, he was on pretty much every group call that we did, in addition to, of course, working one-on-one with Kevin, and or Carista. So as we move on to to the actual franchise, if you guys want to learn more about the system and how it works, you can go to we actually for the first time just put it up on our website. So let me actually show you that franchiseempire.com, and then you can just go to products and ZTPF, and you can get just a more thorough understanding of what it looks like, what the breakdown is, the different paths of how we work with clients. And if you're, just looking to work with a franchise broker, we can get you introduced. But if you want to learn more about how the ZTPF system works and provides you more thorough kind of support and guidance throughout the process and a community for those that, want that, you can schedule a demo with the team for free and just kind of see what that's all about. So, yeah. Anything to add there before we transition, Kev?
No, I think that's good. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So what's this franchise of the week?
Okay. So this one, Krista picked out is called Mosquito Squad. So as you can probably imagine, it deals with mosquito control, but it's more than just that. It's insect control and pest control to a various level, but it's been established since 2004. Mosquito Squad is part of the Authority Brands umbrella. So we've talked about Authority Brands before, but similar to Neighborly, but they're an umbrella company that owns maybe 13, 14 different home services franchises underneath its umbrella. So a lot of good synergies between their companies' ability to expand and grow into other brands as you grow your franchise empire. So it's a really good company, and we like Authority Brands quite a bit. So Mosquito Squad is their pest control or insect control franchise. They have 217 units throughout the country. The total investment's around 164,000 and 220,000. That's going to include 12 months of additional funds. Usually you only see 3 months included in the investment range in the Atom 7 of the FDD, but this one includes 12 months for some reason, which I kind of like that better than just including 3 months because it really gives you a pretty accurate picture for that full year. But that's going to include like having the van and all the equipment and your technicians' labor to go out and spray everything. And I bet you it even includes adding a second van within that first year. My guess is within that first year, you're going to have 2 technicians and 2 vans out on the road. But basically what they do is they do pest elimination and control services. They do both residential and commercial. Three main categories of pests. It's small pests that stay outside, like mosquitoes, ticks, ants, pests that eat plants. So like, they have special stuff and chemicals that they spray on your plants to not kill the plants, but basically get rid of the pests that will eat up your plants. And then they have stuff inside the home like bed bugs or termites. So they can treat for all of those. They do probably a healthy mix between commercial and residential work. I mean, you can imagine like, a restaurant, for example, they can't be having like insects and stuff. So I'm guessing they would be a prime customer to have a weekly or biweekly treatment done or whatever it may be. So there is a nice recurring revenue element for this for both residential and commercial. According to the FDD here, let's look at average gross. So average territory gross revenue. So the top quartile is averaging 1.1 million. Second quartile averaging 452,000. And then, the bottom half, the bottom 50% drops off pretty significantly. So, this is definitely one you want to see yourself being above average performer. But, this one is pretty low overhead. I don't think you need like a warehouse or anything to run this. I think you can operate it out of your home. And if you need like a storage unit, you can get one. But really those vans come with everything your technicians need to do their jobs on a daily basis. And then you just continue to order the materials or supplies as you go through them. So, pretty straightforward. Let's see if we want to scroll down some of the other, or do you want to add on anything here in terms of the numbers?
Yeah. So where we got that number 2.8 million, you can see that in the first quartile, the top 25% of performers, the highest performing territory does $2.8 million in sales, which is crazy to think about because that person, invested on average around $200K to get their business up and running. Didn't mean they didn't invest more to add on to it. I would imagine they probably have multiple vans, etc. But to, produce a business that's doing $2.8 million in sales, which is pretty crazy. It's just pretty wild overall. And yeah, some of these other territories. I mean, here's what I like. Here's what I like about this FDD, the item 19, is that they show it by territory.
Yeah.
And sometimes franchisors, for those of you guys that, aren't familiar and aren't looking at FDDs every day like our team is, sometimes franchisors will just show the average sales per owner or franchisee, but you don't know if they own one territory or three territories or 10.
Yeah.
So I like that.
It's interesting. It's a good point, Tar, because I was actually meeting with one of our clients the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, I just don't see the potential, like based on the item 19." And it was an Authority Brands. It was the plumbing franchise, and I was like, "That's surprising to hear. Let's pull it up and let me understand what you're talking about." He didn't realize it was by territory, and then we scrolled down and it was like by franchisee. And so when you look at it that way, it's very impressive. It changes mindset totally, but you can see why people can maybe misread things like that, and if they don't read through this. And but yeah, it's a really good point. I like how all Authority Brands do it this way.
Oh, that's solid. That's super transparent. And to that point, like most people in this sort of business, they're not typically going to only buy one territory. I mean, I don't have any data on this, but I would guess the average owner probably has at least two, the average owner, and a lot of the times like 2 to 3. So you figure, okay, well, if at the 50 percentile kind of mark, the average owner is doing somewhere, between that 226 to 450. So let's call it like, 350 to 400 or so in sales, and you have two territories. Well, you have two territories of a business that's doing 700K in sales, and you have the efficiencies where you only have one manager, overseeing the two territories, or one salesperson overseeing the two territories. So there is economies of scale that's important, to just kind of be aware of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Some other cool things. There's no royalties for the first year in business, which that's pretty rare. I mean, there are some franchises that'll give like 3 months, but a whole year, that's pretty rare. So that's cool. And then they do large territories. So up to 500,000 in population per territory, that's a massive territory. Usually you see for this type of business, it's around 200,000. So yeah, if you could get 2 territories for this brand and have a huge population to serve, I think it's definitely something you could scale. The reoccurring revenue is nice. They have a 70% renewal rate on among customers. Operate from home, like we talked about, and then you just add vans and one tech per van as you scale. That's the other thing. It's not like highly skilled labor. It's your payroll is probably going to be pretty low. I'm guessing your margins are pretty strong in this one. So yeah, I like these businesses. There's a lot of pest control franchises and just a lot of competition in general. So, really understanding how to do that competitive market analysis is probably also going to be important in this type of business. But at the end of the day, like we talked about for Window Genie, it's probably about marketing and sales and your ability to really put your foot on the gas pedal there.
Yeah, 100%. Here, I think there's a couple questions, but real quick for those of you guys, so whether it's you want to see if this franchise is available in your area, I'd be curious to even know what markets are actually even still available with this brand with over 200 territories sold. But if you want to find out if your area is still available for this specific franchise, or if you just want to have a conversation on what franchises are available in your area that could be a good fit for you, that align with your goals, your skill sets, then you can go to franchiseempire.com/check territory. You can schedule a free 15-minute call with our team to start the conversation. What are the questions we got? Let's see. So, question: do you believe that Purple Blue? You ask about vending machines every time. All right, let's see. Do you believe that investing in one of these new vending machines that utilize advanced artificial intelligence, other than snacks like cupcakes, pizza, and even cars, is a good investment? I don't know what you're. I don't know what you're referencing. What other vending machines you're referencing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's somebody sent me a new vending machine concept the other day. What was it? I don't know much about those, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me either. Our expertise is in franchising. Although we did have a client buy some vending machines. I just had to Zoom with them too. Are any grocery stores or dollar stores franchises or licensing opportunities? I'm not aware of any. Are you?
There's actually one grocery store. I mean, I think it has like 2 franchise units. It's the name is drawn. I'm drawing a blank on the name. Dollar stores are not franchises anymore.
Yeah.
No.
And the grocery store business, generally those grocery stores operate on like 1 to 3 or 3 to 5% profit margin. So I don't know that that'd be a business that I'd want to go into, but we want to try to own it. No, we cannot help you with owning a Chick-fil-A franchise. That's not something we do. Chick-fil-A, by the way, it's harder to get into Chick-fil-A than Harvard in terms of the percentage of applicants. It literally is.
It really is. Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't own anything with Chick-fil-A. Like, you'll be an operator, and if you get awarded one and make it through the process, which takes 2 years, by the way, I know 2 people that have gotten approved and made it through the process. But you don't actually own anything. So if you die and get hit by a bus, like, you can't pass it down to your family. You can't sell it one day. You are an operator. So, yeah. Purple Blue, are landscaping franchises good investments in your opinion? What would you say about that? What would you say about that, Kevin?
They can be, depending on your location and the services offered in the franchise. I think it's also going to be their marketing prowess on how they generate leads for you, because it's a pretty competitive space. It's very fragmented. There's a lot of individual people doing landscaping services in every market. So I think it can be is the general gist of it. From what I understand, the owners that are successful in those businesses are good at managing teams, like really, really good at, hiring, training, providing promotional opportunities, building a good culture. That's how you scale those businesses. And they are fairly capital intensive because you do need trucks and equipment and stuff like that.
Yeah. And we have access to some, right, Kevin? If
Yeah, we do. Yeah, there's a good neighborly one for sure, and they can be very good because there is recurring revenue element of those. You do the mowing, and then you can upsell the landscaping part of it, irrigation, potentially. So, yeah.
boom. Let's see. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Luai. You have a business that you would like to franchise? Cool. Email us at clientcare@franchiseempire.com. Clientcare@franchiseempire.com and tell us about your business. Cool. All right, we're gonna shift to last but not least. How do I take off this thing? There we go. Last but not least, on the on the Franchise Empire show. What's funny is we used to Zach and Josh and I used to create the titles together. Zach would come up with like 4 different title options, and then like we would vote, and then I would usually have the last say. But they've just been choosing them, I guess, because I've been so busy, and so that's a pretty epic title. Um, But on the Franchise Empire show, so Liz and Dean were clients. Some franchise brokers failed them, but our team of franchise brokers did not. So Liz and Dean is a couple that they had worked with 3 different franchise brokers over a course of 12 months before reaching out to us and kind of learning more about our process and our system and how it all worked. And Kevin worked with them one-on-one. I think we dove into their case study a couple weeks ago in the newsletter. But Kevin personally helped them. He found them a strong performing resale in California that was doing about $2 million in annual sales when they acquired it. And so I sat down with them and we did a podcast together on what their journey was like, and kind of the ups and the downs, and just their process overall. Why they even wanted to work with us. Dean at the time was a part owner in some Jersey Mike's franchises. So we just unpacked all that stuff in the episode, and I think you guys will find it really interesting to hear directly from them. Remember that the Franchise Empire show is a completely different YouTube channel. So if you want to go watch that episode, go to the Franchise Empire show YouTube channel. You can watch it there, or you can listen to it at any of the podcast platforms that you listen to podcast. Any quick thing you wanted to add about them, Kevin? Or
I think it would be interesting if anybody's, especially if you've worked with a broker before and maybe are skeptical and have had a bad experience, and it happens. So maybe listen to Liz and Dean's viewpoint. I mean, they went through a ton of due diligence, like a lot of brokers, a lot of different franchises until we found that resale. So I think it'd be interesting for most anybody that's serious about the process and is going through it now to listen to it.
100%. And before we end, we brought up brokers a couple times, and I think what's important is that one of the things they kind of brought up a couple of things, but the key thing was that it's all about trust, and having a relationship that's built on trust. And anyways, I could keep going on and on about this, but I think one of the things that we pride ourselves on is being trusted. And that's our goal, is to be the most trusted authority in franchising. So super important, super, super important. Anyways, all right, y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Oh, hold on. Actually, we had a couple other questions real quick. Let's see, Kevin.
Zumingerman. Yeah. I don't know. I think I just pulled up their FTD because I saw your question there. So, I mean, I go to the Adam 19 first off, right? Like that's the first thing I look at just to assess financial opportunity. And this one, for the average annual sales per vehicle is just at 206,000 per vehicle. So I'm not sure by the time you factor in like all your overhead and your labor and everything, if you're only doing 206,000 per year per vehicle, I think there's other franchises that you can get a higher, revenue per technician or truck rate than that. But maybe it's pretty good. I don't have a ton of experience with that particular franchise. I do have experience with other dog grooming franchises, but that one I've not worked with. So I'd have to dig into it a little bit better. But just on the surface, that doesn't seem super high. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I'll go with your response.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar.
yeah. I'd have to dive into it more to give mine. You can always set up a call with us if you want to chat more about it in detail.
Yeah, there you go. Do you own anything or build equity with a tropical smoothie franchise and make passive income? I generally hate the term passive income because I think it's like not real overall. But yeah, I mean, I owned smoothie franchises and I sold them. So yeah, you can definitely build equity. I mean, time horizon is important. And I guess technically speaking, I did wind up becoming absentee with one of my locations. I mean, I lived across the country and I went there a total of 3 times over, what was it, like 2 years? So, but I did not go into it with that intention. We moved. So it just had to make it happen. So if you're trying to go into a franchise to own passive income, don't do it. Because you're going to be disappointed and you're going to work your ass off. But I think working your ass off is worth it. And then after you work your ass off for 3 to 5 years, then you can probably be in a position to create passive income. And even at that point, you still may not be in a position to have passive income from it. But like I said, you always get the real from us. Do you guys help with trying to get a McDonald's or Dairy Queen franchises? I want to own one of them. Kevin?
No, those huge brands, they get thousands of applicants a year, and it's probably a very similar process as Chick-fil-A. But no, we don't work with those brands.
Last but not least, do you have a food service or car wash franchise opportunity like you left us on a cliffhanger, Mo, but
we do have food service and car wash franchises. Yeah. I mean, car wash, you're looking at north of 2 million total investment for sure for something like that. Food service can be significantly less, but it just depends on what type of food you're looking for.
Boom. Sweet. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good rest of your day. Kev, thanks for sticking around to answer those questions.
Yep. Talk to you later.
Y'all. Peace out. Bye.